I'm going to check the oil pressure on this 300 TDI to see what's wrong with this engine. I cannot do a compression test because I can't get the damn glow plugs out. But we've got to determine how good or bad this engine is before we take the head off. You see, I've got the feeling we might end up doing a complete rebuild on this thing, even though it started off as just glow plugs. Because you see, these 300 TDIs will run and run and run forever, and they can have a lot of faults, a lot of things wrong with them. And this thing here is bellowing oil out of the breather, which is not a good thing. Even though we've plugged up the vacuum pump, so there's no air circulating through the crankcases and coming out. It's indicating 93,000 kilometres. I don't think so. So what's wrong with it? Well, we don't know. And we're in a bit of a conundrum because I can't do the compression test without with the glow plugs in. You know, the snap glow plugs. So I can't test the compression and find out what's wrong with it. But I'm concerned about the oil pressure. Is the oil pressure up to spec? Because these older 300 TDIs did have problems with low oil pressure, which means usually a crank grind or new bearings or new camshaft bearings, and it's getting expensive. You end up pulling the engine out and completely rebuilding it just for peace of mind. Now bear in mind, while we're talking about mines, that this has got hardly any power in it. It's very low on power. So 93,000 kilometres in a TDI? I don't think so. So I've got my gauge here, and like I say, the oil pressure is between 20, I think it's, wait a minute, it's 25 and 55 PSI. Now I'm going to do PSI because my gauge here's got a better scale on the outside for pounds per square inch. It's not a particularly good reader, but it's the only gauge I've got. So we're looking halfway between 100 and 0 at high revs when it's warm. So we're going to test it when it's cold, and we're going to leave it to run till the engine gets to operating temperature. We're going to leave it and see if the oil pressure drops. Now it probably will drop a bit, but obviously we don't want it at 0 because that would be a problem, wouldn't it? But if it's 25 pounds, well, it's at the bottom of the acceptable scale. So the first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the oil pressure switch. Now that's kind of difficult to film because it's tucked up near the oil filters, and that's why I've lifted the car up. And I got JP, my machine shop man, to make me some special adapters to go onto the end of my gauge to test the pressure. So I'm going to get on with that, and then we'll come back to this when the engine's running. Right, let's start the car. We've got 30 pounds cold. And it's not leaking. Hoses. I'll turn the engine off. I have to do a great big detour of the car because I can't get round. Here we are again. Now, what was unusual about that experiment was when I nipped the turbo hose, usually when you rev up the car you can't hold it. And when I nipped up the elbow, the 90-degree elbow, The engine there was being sucked into the engine and collapsing the hose because it was being strangled. So I strangled this one, but when I revved it up, the turbo should keep up with that. I wonder if the turbo's actually turning. Hey, that could be, hey, I'll get a mirror out. Oh, by the way, the oil pressure's shit. Well, it's not acceptable anyway, put it like that. Let's have a look and get a mirror. I'm going to have to move this camera a bit. Right, that's better. Can you see? Can you see there? Tell me if you can see. I'm going to put a mirror here, see if you can see the turbo going around. It's turning. You know something? It's very difficult to see on these engines, but I'm just wondering. Where's my little flashy type light gone? I'm just wondering if the wastegate's opening and closing. Or is it stuck open? There's something not right about that. Well, usually when you nip the turbo hose, it's really hard to press. And even though I haven't got an intake hose on there, the turbo hose is still on there. Let me start it again and I'll... Oh, how am I going to do this? I need about 7 hands. I can't see the actuation. Oh, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put an airline, I don't know if you can see down here what I'm talking about. There we go. I'll put an airline on the hose that goes to the actuator to see if it's moving. There's something mighty wrong here. So I've taken the turbo hose off here. That's probably why it's got no power. Huh. Now, I don't know if you can see. Oh, wait a minute. I've got my hand in front. This thing here is blowing like crazy. Now, it will spray oil out. But anyway, let's have a look at the oil pressure. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Idling £20. Only 30. I'll get it right. Only £30 at high revs and hot. Hey, isn't that turbo a mystery? Isn't that odd? Well, let me zoom out, because let me put this... Oh, Jesus, I've got it wrong there again. Isn't that odd with this engine? I wonder what's happening with it. Let me come back a bit. I'm not editing any of this out, and bloody waste of time. Now, usually you can't put your hand over that turbo when it's running. It'll scream and screech on your hand. You know, like you know when you make farty noises with your hands. It should go like that, but it's not. It's like there's nothing there. Well, the turbo's turning. Oh, I tell you something. There's some great big chips and dings in it. Now, is it free revving from the engine? I don't know. Is the impeller still on the exhaust side? Who knows? Who knows the secret? But that's not right. Oil pressure's a bit disappointing, but it should put the oil light out. So I don't know, when I rev it up over here you can see there's oil sprayed out of the breather. Well, that's normal because out of this cyclone separator. Well, that's normal because there's nothing there to stop the oil getting sprayed. The separator here should pick up the oil here, drop it down here, cyclone it out and pull the air out here. But it's pulling fumes out of here, so it's a little bit too fumey for my liking. This is a really oddball engine. Because the injection system sounds nice and snappy, but it's got no power. I don't know. That turbo was a mystery. I've never seen one like that before. And again, the wastegate's opening and closing. But it's just like it's got no pressure. How can I pressure test that? Let me think. Right, after a joyous flip about, and I was going to say a worse word than that, I've now transferred the oil pressure tester to the plug at the back of the intake manifold here. I've taken the plug out and I've got an adapter to go to my pressure gauge. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to work because the gauge is quite wide, but we should see some movement on the needle. If not, I'll take it off and find another adapter. Bloody adapters everywhere. I've also put the oil switch on. Yeah. So the oil light goes out. Let me find a better gauge. Right. After a lot of swearing, let's try this again. Now I have tested this gauge. There's no turbo. Not a sausage, look. The needle. Something wrong somewhere. What the hell is it? Let me think about this a bit longer. So this time I've taken this part out. This goes to the end of the turbo, the outlet. One side goes to your wastegate and the other side goes to your injector pump. We must have pressure now, surely. Kaput. The bloody thing's got no turbo, it's not putting any pressure out. Now, For those of you who are amongst us who don't believe that this pressure gauge is working, I shall show you. Airline. Working. No pressure. This engine is a dog. It needs a fortune spending on it. And a lot of time, which I've given up now. The oil pressure is low, there's hardly any turbo, and that would explain why it won't go up hills. There's no boost. And of course, if there's no boost, there's no boost going to the fuel pump to give it that extra oomph. What we're hearing now is it just free running, there's no load on it. Oh hell. Now what we're going to do? Well, he wanted me to take the head off it, but now it's just becoming a money pit, a really big money pit now. Because that needs a turbo, I'm sure of it. If anybody's got any better suggestions, please write in the comments. But as far as I can see, that's not putting out any air. It's using the air that's going naturally through the engine, you know, through the turbo, but it isn't boosting anything. Like I say, I just wonder if the impeller's broken on the exhaust side. You know, anything could have happened, eh? Anything. But this is going to be expensive.